Hey guys, Jack here, checking in on Monday after a weekend of low carb living, and people have been asking, are you doing keto? Are you doing carnivore? The fundamental core of what I'm doing really comes out of Protein Power by Michael and Jan Eads. They're both two doctors. But I guess I'm more keto than even what they're doing because keto wasn't a thing as a diet. Like ketosis has been a thing for as long as humans have been around. Using it as a dietary practice, probably the first big diet that did that was Atkins, but it didn't do it the way keto does. It did it solely through carbohydrate restriction. Protein Power does that as well, and I think they're very useful. The Protein Power plan is for determining your carb limitation. Where I kind of differ with Protein Power, move more toward the keto crowd, is I'm a believer in more fat to make up your dietary requirements. And I want to start giving out some other YouTube channels that are more into this, because my channel is like all over the map. One day I'm talking about growing food, the next day I'm talking about guns, the next day, I'm talking about low carb living, because this is just an adjunct onto my podcast called the Survival Podcast, which deals with all things self-sufficiency, self-reliance, and liberty, and not dying because you're too fat. And that's a survival topic, guys. It really is. So I like to give out things that are more dedicated to the subject I'm talking on. So Dr. Eric Berg has a pretty good channel if you want to understand, what he calls healthy ketosis. And I want to say something here at the beginning of this one today. I think a lot of these people that I'll even be giving out have taken things from other people and made it their own and called it their own and whatever. That's fine. That's the world that we live in. And each person brings something to something they absorb. But certainly when I start talking about people that give you recipes, man, somebody puts out a recipe and the next thing you know, this guy takes it, adds paprika, throws it in his cookbook, and it's his. That's okay. Just know that this stuff's been passed around back and forth 100 ways. But if you want to really understand the basics of the ketosis cycle in a diet, whether you go directly with this plan or not, Dr. Eric Berg has a pretty good introduction to it, which his also includes intermittent fasting, which is something I believe in, but not maybe quite to the level that he does. All right, so just start with that. Let's talk about the numbers, right? So last week I checked in with you guys. I was 236, and that was down almost 7 pounds, 6.7 pounds. And since I started tracking the spreadsheet, but I was actually down like 11 pounds overall. Since the first time I stepped on a scale since I started doing this. But I'm trying to, I've got a spreadsheet here, and it is absolutely rigorous in how it tracks everything. So I started the weekend at 236.6, and I had a meal out with family. I was very good on that meal, even though I watched other people drink margaritas. I didn't. Those of you that know me, that's passing up a lot for me to not have a margarita when there's a cold one sitting in front of me, but I didn't. For my meal there, I had ceviche, and I had quail, grilled quail, and they do quail with vegetables and rice, and I'm like, okay, I want double vegetables, no rice. They're like, well, that's an extra $1. I'm like, I don't care. Just do what I asked you to do. And then they took the rice away, charged me an extra $1, didn't give me my extra vegetables. So that cost me some of my vegetable intake that I had counted on for that day. And you don't know what they're cooking with. So even though you did grilled quail, what was in the glaze? What was in the marinade? So I know I'm off a little bit. So I only went with a very small breakfast, and I'll get to what I ate in just a second. And then for dinner, I had, that was Sunday, leftover ribs. Saturday, I had, 4 pieces of red wattle hog bacon. This is bacon that starts out like that big and ends up about normal size because there's so much fat in it. I just had 4 pieces of that for breakfast. I had nothing all day long till dinner. At dinner, I had like a massive salad, probably a good 5 cups of leaf vegetables, probably about a good 6 ounces to 8 ounces of chicken thigh, sliced up, that had no carbs in it because I cooked it myself. Some cheese, some Parmesan crisp for some crunch, a tablespoon of hemp seed, roasted hemp seed. All in that thing probably had about 8 carbohydrates. And so that's a big meal. Yesterday, like I said, I had avocado crisps for breakfast. Not avocado, Parmesan crisps, about that big around, with avocado mash on them, with a little bit of the bacon from the day before. I used like a half a piece chopped into pieces. 1 cherry tomato diced into pieces, divided between the two, so I had about 4, quarter each on each of them. And then, what else did I have? Okay, so then I had the grilled quail. Then I did a P3 snack pack. I got kind of hungry after eating out at a restaurant. Funny that, isn't it? you know. So clearly there was something in the glaze on the quail. But I have them with P3 snack packs. It was like 150 calories, most of it fat, 2 carbs, so no problem. Dinner, I had leftover ribs. I had 4 ribs and 1 leftover chicken wing with a barbecue sauce I made from a guy called Bobby Parrish. There's a YouTube channel called Flav City. I'm going to tell you about in a second. What did that all result in? Maybe I should do this up front and not make you wait so long. I lost a pound over the weekend. So I went from 236.6 to 235.6 this morning, which is a pound over 3 days, which I'm totally happy with. And what I wanted to talk to you about today, like misconception of these types of diets, is calories don't matter. Calories don't matter, but they do matter. If you, and I said this in the first one, if you sit and you hog down at night like a package of pepperoni, and that's like a normal thing for you, you're not going to lose weight. Now, if you're like 400 pounds overweight and you've been eating potatoes and, you know, like giant potatoes and 16-ounce steaks, and you go to a keto-friendly diet and you reduce everything else, and you might at first, but you're going to hit, you know, not a plateau, but you're going to hit a point where you're going to start gaining weight again. Because this is the math that goes with this. A pound of fat has about 3,500 calories in it. So if you cut a pound of fat off of a human being and you do a caloric test and measure what is the calorie yield in there, that's 3,500 calories. So that means to lose a pound over 3 days, you have to burn a surplus 3,500 calories. It doesn't matter how you do it, but you have to do it. If you're in ketosis, it's a lot easier to do that. And if you're in ketosis and you're burning your own fat, your hunger is suppressed. And if you're eating a keto protein power style diet and following the portion sizes and the allotment that you're given and counting your carbs, you're going to be in a calorically restricted diet compared to what you normally would be in. And as you do it longer and longer and the furnace kicks in, you're going to find yourself eating less and having to force yourself to eat, which is going to further reduce your calories. So it's not that calories don't matter at all. It's that if you're following the plan, the calories will be naturally restricted. And as you follow the plan, you get healthier and your furnace kicks in and you start to burn off, 3,500 calories over 3 days. Well, you're going to start burning it quicker. You're going to start shedding it faster. And a reasonable goal. I mean, everybody talks about these huge weight loss speed with keto, low carb, whatever. But a reasonable goal, once you come off your first 3 to 5%, is about 2 pounds a week. That it really is about 1 pound every third day. And as you come down from there, let's say you get down to like you've lost 10% of your total weight, but you're still well overweight, you're probably going to slow down and do more like 1 pound over 4 days. And as you get closer, you maybe 1 pound over 5 days. So to get to my first goal, where I really feel like I've achieved what I want, right now I've already mapped it out based on this formula, and I'm looking at October 28th. And a lot of people are like, wow, that's so far away. You know what? How fat would I still be on October 28th if I didn't do this? And it gets easier as you go. Now, resource for the day. Flav City with Bobby Parrish. He does a low-carb, keto-friendly barbecue sauce. I like this dude. I got his book. I just have to give you one warning. A lot of shit that he says is keto-friendly is not keto-friendly. Now, maybe if you've already done all the work and you weigh 180 pounds and you're going to have a cheat day, and remember what I said about cheat days in my last episode, then sure, the stuff he's calling keto-friendly is keto-friendly. If you are in loss mode, some of the stuff isn't. The barbecue sauce really is. And it tastes really good. I think I can actually make it better. Like I said, taking somebody else's stuff and making it your own, totally okay. But he gives some resources in there, and one is this erythritol-based brown sugar substitute. This stuff is awesome. And but I want to caution you on this, like the desserts, the cakes, the keto breads, all that stuff, like that doesn't need to be something that you're making and then chowing down on. That needs to be a piece of the meal, and it needs to be not every day. But we get into like substitution therapy, it can go wrong really fast because also, well, it's keto bread, but you ate the loaf. Okay, you ate the loaf. Yeah, it's 2 carbs a serving, but you ate the 10 slice loaf of 20 carbs on top of your normal meal or as a snack or with a pound of butter. And then, yeah, can you have butter? Sure, but can you have a pound of butter? No. No, now you've just put an entire pound of fat into your body. You got to think about it that way too. So this would be an interesting experiment. I wouldn't want to use real butter because it seems like a shame, but maybe if you got yourself like a pound of margarine and you have a good fire pit, you have some kind of containment, and you let that on fire and watch that burn, that's what you got to do to burn a pound of fat. So if you're skinny and you haven't gotten fat yet, get on the low carb train before you get fat. It's a lot easier, trust me. Anyway, I went long. I said these are going to be like 4 to 6 minutes. This is 10, but you know, I went over a weekend, so maybe we'll have long Mondays, short rest of the week. Anyway, there is a playlist. Now there's only 2 videos, but there's a link and all the resources in the video notes below. If you have any questions, go ahead, shout them out. I got a lot coming for you this week.